Mayor Jim Strickland and the Memphis Office of Youth Services presents True Blue Tuesdays with Ike Griffith.
Welcome to this special presentation of True Blue Tuesdays. I'm your host, Ike Griffith. Combating violence among our youth is the topic of discussion. I'll be back with my first guest, Mr. Stevie Moore. Stay tuned.
This is a sight we see much too often here in the Bluff City. Crime scene tape flashing blue lights and families overcome with grief. But Saturday, heartache has been replaced by hope. These are the new sights and sounds of a city focused on a better future.
We need peace in the streets.
We're all here as one. We're one just big family. We're all children of God, and this has to stop.
We have ministers here. I saw a congresswoman over there. The mayor is over there. And we're coming together because we want peace in our streets in Memphis. We want the young people to put the guns down.
People are tired of this crime. They're fed up with it. They want it to end.
Take a look. These are the faces of those victimized by violence. They are more than a number. They were mothers, fathers, and children who were loved, with loved ones now reliving the pain often.
While preparing for my father's wake, I received a call saying that my second-born son had been shot and killed in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. He was robbed and shot 12 times and left in a parking lot.
17 years ago. Had to watch my son lay on the ground over 2 hours. Shot in the head with AK-47 assault rifle.
To see some of the kids that made posters themselves that said, "Please stop killing us," just brought tears to my eyes.
It was a normal day, August the 3rd, and then all of a sudden we get this call at 1:49 in the morning telling us that he was shot. And of course, at that moment in my life, it really changed.
You must take these guns out of the hands of your child.
This city has experienced a record number of homicides this year alone, a record no city wants to break. But today, by the hundreds, these marchers have come out. They come from all walks of life, but they have the same mission, and that is to find a way to end gun violence.
It's not like the game where you get your life back, because you can't get your life back. Once somebody takes it, it's gone.
But what's not gone are reminders like this, that love can conquer all. Reporting in downtown Memphis, Jarita Patterson, WREG, News Channel 3.
Welcome back. I'm here with Mr. Stevie Moore, who is the organizer for the Unity Walk that we had on the 14th. What was the significance behind that walk, Mr. Moore?
Well, significant was it was a brainchild of me and General Bill Gibbons at the Crime Commission. So he called me and said, well, it was about in March. But when the COVID hit, we had to cancel it. And I actually wanted to wait till after the election because I didn't want this to be politicized.
Okay.
Because stop the killing, it's everybody's problem. And we want to make a unity walk so we can have all organizations, all races, all denominations, pastors, everybody come together speaking on one unified subject. And that is stop the killing of our babies. We tired of our babies dying.
Yeah.
And that was the crush of this. That said everybody speaking on one voice. Because politics, just everybody's so divided.
Right.
But we want us to come together and say, hey, this is one subject that everybody can be uniform. No parent want to see their children shot down. Parents are tired of burying their children. I lost my son 17 years ago, shot in the head with AK-47 assault rifle. Bullet went through his eye to have his head off. And as a father and parent, I felt helpless. Because I got there on the scene, he was dead on arrival, so I couldn't even touch my son. I couldn't even touch him, so that felt bad. So that next day, I promised myself, that's when I started to stop the killing initiative. Even though I can't bring my son back, I will spend the rest of my life trying to save somebody else's kid.
One of the things that we talked with Director Rollins about a couple of weeks ago, we have about 29 youth in this city that have been killed violently. What do you think is the reason behind all this violence among our young people?
Well, I think we always talk about the problems, but we never talk about the solutions. We have to get out our clergy. We have men out of our community. Jails are full of our men. Not only jails, drugs are taking over. So instead of talking about who the problem is, we say it's law enforcement. Let's stop blaming. I do not feel law enforcement cannot stop this by themselves. Yes, you can recall, we used to know who all was in our community. If a stranger in our community, we know it. But think about it. Average person don't know 3 people on that. They know somebody standing in front of them,
Right.
on the side of them. That's all. So we are not talking. Then you got this problem that snitching gets stitches. That's when we got I started a crime anonymous tip line fund, because our young Black men will not call the police, you know, because they feel like they're gonna tell them who called it. So we need to have a number, which I hope to show it before it's over, that we can show that we got to communicate. You got to understand, you call law enforcement after the person is dead. I work with Buddy Chapman. You call 528 cash after we trying to catch the criminal.
But you know, in saying that, Mr. Moore, do you think retaliation is a big fear factor among people not wanting to get involved? They see it, but they don't want to be involved because of retaliation. Is that a factor?
That's the number one factor.
Okay.
That's
So how
when-
do we combat that?
That's when I started tip line. Now, you don't want to call the police, call the tip line. You don't have to leave your number, nothing, because especially among your older people, they don't call the police because they don't want the police to show up their house, because they feel like the gang members going to come. But I think we have did a disservice to our community by calling gangbangers, because I don't believe in gangbanging.
Okay.
I believe in some bad, well, you know, bad children that didn't get their butt whooped and straightened out. When we did wrong, like that, we had a dad or somebody, and I can take my own life. I sold drugs. Wasn't no daddy there. It was just mama saying, boy, stop it. Boy, stop it. And you know, your mama gonna love you anyway. I don't care what you do.
Right, right.
So we got too many men out the picture that we got to get back in the game.
Let me ask you this. We was talking about the tip line. Tell us how that works. Okay, let's understand how the tip line works, and where the person have to be fearful of, you know, names being given out, phone numbers. How does that tip line work?
No, we got a number you call.
Okay.
And on that line, he said, if you want to leave a message, don't leave no name, dial line 1. Line 2, if you want to talk to an individual, you can do that. Still, you don't have to leave no name. If you just want to, which I done had calls distributing the drugs in our community, they having parties, no name. I don't want to know who you are.
Wait, is this similar to 528 cash?
Yes.
So it will be an award given from this tip line?
No,
Okay,
no.
let's talk about the difference between that.
The 528 cash, the difference is 528 cash is a number to catch the criminal.
Okay.
The tip line is a prevented line. We trying to stop, but have to use the 528 cash. If we can stop the crime from being committed, I just feel 95% of all crimes, especially gun crime, somebody knew about it before it happened.
So this is a precaution of before it happened.
Before it happened.
Okay. So that's what that line is
You
about.
call a law enforcement 528 cash after the crime been committed.
I got you.
The child already dead. So, you know, I'm trying to say, you know what's going on in your community. You know who got guns. Sometimes your own relative, your nephew, little poo-poo, but you refuse to say something until that bullet goes off and hit that innocent kid playing in the yard. And then you're concerned then.
Do you think a lot of this is going on among our young people because it's nothing for them to do? Give me your perspective on that.
Well, there's nothing for them to do, and you got young mothers. I got families, mothers 29, got 29 years old, got 7 children. What can that mother do? Now we really got a problem now because they got to stay at home. So that mother could get some relief and go to work, but now she got to try to do this Zoom, whatever they're doing. And it's nothing but we got to create more. And this is my problem. All these companies in our community we make money out of our community, but they're not investing back in our community. Community center got to close because of COVID. What do you expect these children to do? They're anxious. And I got a felony program, just for example. Well, if a guy get out of jail and can't get a job, he gonna rob me or you. You got to do something. So the kids are coming up doing the same thing. If we had more sports games, more stuff for them to get, if it's nothing but somewhere for them to go, they just have some real fun, relaxation, but we're short on that.
Do you think because of the pandemic, people having to stay at home, working from home, do you think that's one of the reasons for the increase in violence among our young people?
I absolutely think that added to it. But we still had the problem before then. And I think the major problem is that a lack of things for young people to get involved in. I think Mayor Strickland has did a good job of trying to create things like you work with the youth, but we got to have more than that. And see, they used to say it happened in South Memphis, North Memphis, Raleigh. No, it's happening everywhere now. So I'm saying these corporations that make money off our inner city youth and desert jobs, if they would put money, look what we got. Check where the crime at. The most blighted areas you're gonna see. That's where the most crime gonna happen. We'll throw down paper, we pick it up, we go out and clean up twice a week. But by the time we go back, but nobody's educated, nobody's talking about this. Our political leaders need to talk more about it. Our clergy and need to talk more about it. We need to all come out of our safe havens, if I can call it, and get involved.
You know, is that one of the reasons that you did this unity walk? I understand it was your first. I know it won't be your last.
No.
But was that one of the major reasons for incorporating a walk of this type?
That was the major reason. I did drive by, but I wanted to do a unity walk. When me and General Givens, I always call him General because that's how I know him, you know, but he's director of the Crime Commission. We talked about this, and we said, how can we make this inclusive? We talk about the name of it. So we came down to unity, and unity is so important. That means everybody can talk about this. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, black, white, Chinese, Mexican. This is unity. Whatever your political persuasion is, we can differ about that. But can everybody come together on stop the killing?
You know, I saw that you had a large crowd, and that was great for the turnout that you had. Will you have another one anytime soon?
We already had a meeting on that. And something I didn't know, you and me both of us stay in the Whitehaven area.
Right.
Knowing, I've been in Whitehaven for 30-some years. I didn't know it came to be the #1 in homicides, but it is. So we're gonna take it to Whitehaven.
Okay.
We're gonna go to the range station to help, ask them to help form a route, because we want a 2 to 3 mile route that we just gonna go. The Pepper Tree Apartments, we're having so many problems.
Right.
We wanna go and confront that and let them children. One thing we gotta do is not just walk. We gotta let the young people know that we love them, they care about you. Yeah, you might be doing something wrong, something bad, but we're gonna be here for you. And what I've been saying about the walk, that we gotta connect with organizations that's dealing with problems. If you got alcohol problems, young people, we're gonna help you find an organization helping you. If you got GD problems, Let's help you get your GED, understand how important education is. We don't go out in the community and find out. I told them I had to start this walk. If we just gonna walk and that's it, y'all can cut me out.
Mr. Moore, you brought two individuals with you today who lost their child in a tragedy. And we want to talk with those individuals when we come back.
Right.
So stay with us. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
The Memphis Office of Youth Services, empowering our youth for positive results. Visit our website to learn more, cityofmemphisyouth.org.
Every story has a beginning. My story begins with the Memphis Police Department. Starting out as a police service technician and working my way up the ranks, I've written the story of a lifetime.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Caroline Mason Beasley, and I'm the best in blue. Apply today, and you too can become the best in blue.
We are reimagining policing. To apply, visit joinmpd.com.
It's that time again for Mayor Jim Strickland and the Memphis Office of Youth Services Summer Employment Registration, beginning December 1st through December 31st. To register, go to our website, cityofmemphisyouth.org. That's cityofmemphisyouth.org. Don't miss this opportunity for summer employment. So register beginning December 1st through December 31st for Mayor Jim Strickland and the Memphis Office of Youth Services Summer Employment Registration.
When I was a kid, a police officer made a huge impact in my life. From then on, I knew that I wanted to become a police officer and make a positive impact in the lives of others and in my community.
I am Officer Andres Juarez, and I am the best in blue. I serve my city, my community, and my culture. Apply today, and you too can become the best in blue.
We are reimagining policing. To apply, visit joinmpd.com.
Welcome back. I'm here with Mr. Stevie Moore, who was the organizer for the Unity Walk that we had in Memphis a couple of days ago. And Mr. Moore, you know, we were talking a few minutes ago about violence among our youth, and you brought a couple of guests with you, and we're going to talk with your first guest that you brought, who lost a son tragically. Who is this individual?
That's Miss Vicky Burst. And the reason I wanted to bring some females because I know when I lost my son, it was hurt, but nobody can understand the pain of a mother losing their child. Mm-hmm. And when I met her, I was so enhanced about what she was saying because so many times they said when our children get killed, they gang bang once. Now this kid wasn't a gang banger. This kid was doing great. And I'll let her tell you better than I can tell you, but I was so impressed with this young person because I stay in Whitehaven. He went to Whitehaven school. So I just want her to tell you about her, how she felt about this walk because she was so engaged in it.
Well, welcome, Ms. Burst. Welcome to the program. Sorry about your loss, but can you give us the story? What happened to your son?
Absolutely. My son is Barry Burst Jr. He was killed July 1st, 2013. He was 19 years old. He graduated from Whitehaven High School, where he had over $1 million in scholarship offers. He attended Lyon College on a full soccer and academic scholarship. He was playing semi-pro soccer over the summer. He had just completed his freshman year at college. He had come home for the July 4th holiday. That morning I was traveling, had a one-day trip. He had dropped me off at the airport, and before I could land in Maryland, immediately when I turned my phone on, I was told that my son was killed. He had been visiting one of his female friends, and he was on his way to play soccer. He stopped by her house first. He got out of the car. It was all on video. He got out of the car. One of her male friends was at the house. Barry he got out of the car. The young man walked up to Barry. Barry looked like he had raised his hand to shake the gentleman's hand. He pulled him close to him and he immediately shot him in his chest.
Mm. I'm so sorry to hear that. So this had to do with relationships.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. My son had previously dated the young lady, and I guess this was her new boyfriend.
What do you think we need to tell other parents, Ms. Burse, on how we can combat a problem that you went through?
I think the first thing we need to do as parents is to know our children. We need to know where they are. My son was 19, but we had a phenomenal relationship. So I knew who he was with. I knew his friends. I'd met this young lady 2 times, didn't know her really well, but had, her new friend, he and my son had never met. My understanding is they had never even, spoken on the phone. It was, no, nothing between the two of them. So I think that we need to teach our children that when they feel something, or if they are uncomfortable with a situation or with a person, to immediately walk away, get away. This kid was, I think he was 21. And again, my son was 19, the little girl was 19. And it was just a tragic situation. He wasn't a former gang member. He was actually discharged from the military. They said that he was a hothead. So not sure what the situation was, because again, as soon as my son got out of the car, the gentleman immediately shot him. And the neighbor had video cameras around her house. So it was all caught on video.
Do we talk with our young people enough as parents? Just have that in-depth conversation on relationships, one, but anything a child that might need to tell a parent, or sometimes we as parents need to draw that information out of our children. Are we doing enough of that?
Absolutely not. We're not doing enough of that as parents. We are not as engaged with our children as we should be. In my house, there wasn't a such thing as privacy. There's not any privacy. So I know where you're going. I know even when he was away in college, we spoke 2 or 3 times a day. I spoke with him before he went to bed at night. So I knew what he was doing, and I knew who he was hanging around, and what was going on with him. And these parents now, they don't know where their children are. A lot of the parents, unfortunately, are even afraid of their children, and they're definitely not talking to them. And I think that we need to have a dialogue with our children, and with our sons and our daughters, and we need to teach our daughters how to be young ladies, and you do that by example. So if you are being a lady, then you're going to raise a lady. Men, if you're being a good father, then you're going to raise a son who has goals, and you're teaching him those things. But I think that the parents are missing the mark, and I think that the school system, they need to teach these children about the consequences of their actions. And I think that they need to teach about, what happens when you shoot somebody or when you take a life. You don't just take that person's life. They ruined, when this kid murdered my son, he didn't just ruin my life. He changed the trajectory of my life, my daughter's life, my ex-husband's life, my entire family.
I tell you, I commend Mr. Moore, number one, for organizing a unity walk. But when the walk is over,
that's what I was going to say.
Okay.
What can we do? What do you think we can do is about the families that didn't have the support like your son had. Mm-hmm. I'm dealing with families now, 29-year-old young ladies that got 6, 7 children, and one of them is pregnant. So what can we do? Because we find out most of the crime is not coming from families that support it. It's coming from families that don't have no support. Right? We got families running down the street. How can a mother that had a child at 12 and 13 be a mother? She'd never been taught to be a mother. So we got to figure out a way to stop the generational curse. Because like you said, if you got a good parent, the kid's going to grow up to be a lady or a man. But those children that's committing all these crimes don't have a support system. So what can we do about that?
Well, are there organizations within our city that can embrace these children that may need that support? You know, children need to start speaking up if they need that type of help, okay? They need to be identified. And how do we do that? Do we tell them this is an organization that can be a support mechanism to you? But we need to identify those individuals. But the only way we're going to be able to do that is for that child to come to that organization. So what can we do?
That's what the Unity Walk was about.
Okay.
You just hit on. So you got youth service, which do a great job.
Thank you.
But you need our clergy, our pastors, and know these children, because some of these families in their churches point them to youth services. We need an outrage, a unity in the community to say, hey, this mother don't have no daddy. She got 7 children. We need to stop and say, hey, I'm going to show you. You can go to youth service. You can go to this service. You can go to this service. But we got to speak up and point to, do you know what I mean? I can take you to North Memphis. I can take you to Frazier, South. Where the people don't even know what youth services is.
I believe.
They don't even know the job that y'all doing. Because the young mothers, they trying to sell their food stamps. They trying to feed these 7 children. And we as a community got to take this responsibility and say, hey, we know what youth says. We know what they do. We know what the Boys and Girls Club do. We know what this do. Our political leaders need to stand up and start talking about this. And this is my opinion, we are not doing a good enough job to point people to people like you that's doing a good job. And that's what we got to do.
You know, Ms. Burris, you said something that was very important about our school. You know, what will we tell our school leaders what role they can play? Although it's not dealing with education, but then again it is. But what can we do to tell our school leaders how important it is to have some type of nurturing, mentoring program to combat the problem of violence?
I think that it does start in the schools. The schools, the teachers, the nurses, these are usually, the counselors in the school. These are the people who know that little Johnny has 8 sisters at home and he's not, he's coming to class, he's sleepy, he's hungry, he's dirty. So I think that we do need to empower the teachers as well as the school administrators. When you see something, say something. When you know that this child, they don't want to go home over the weekend because they're not going to get any food. The only time that they're getting food is when they're at school. It starts there. They then need to reach out to people like you to say, hey, we have a group of kids here, we need help. The students probably won't, come to these groups because they're embarrassed. But the teachers, they're seeing it. They see, these kids coming to school. They don't have school supplies. They don't have food. Their clothes are dirty. They don't have uniforms. Some of them aren't going because they don't have these things. So the teachers, are the ones who we need to be empowering to say, when you see this, hey, call this number, get this kid some help. And then maybe we can curb some of this violence.
So I guess what you're saying is that once the teacher can identify a child that's needing help, that they report that to who? To the school leaders, or who do we report to?
that's the question. Who do they report it to? But they need to report it to somebody. So they need, it starts at the school leader. So they need to report it to the administration. And then the administration should have somebody, whether it's, you call, the Department of Human and Health Services, or you call Child Protective Services. You call somebody. It will be the equivalent of you seeing a child coming to school every day with a black eye, and you're not reporting it. This is the same concept. You see this child coming to school every day. They're hungry. They're angry. They don't ever, have the proper clothing and things to wear. Make that call.
That's true. And and in saying that too, because many of our parents are just teenagers themselves.
Right.
Okay. Right. And many of them don't know what direction to go in. So I guess you're absolutely correct when you talk about teachers being able to report some things that need to be reported in order to get our children the support that they need.
But I always go back to this. Our teachers are overwhelmed.
They are.
And I'm a person like this. I get out the blame mode. But who knew this before the teacher knew it? Is your neighbor. First down the street. We can't keep putting this on the teachers. I said the politicians, law enforcement, communities got to pick up he said it take a village to raise a child. But somebody in that neighborhood knew that children was hungry before they got to school.
That's true.
So I'm saying, pleading to the community, say something. The old days, if you didn't have no sugar, you go next door and buy a cup of sugar. You can't do that no more. So we as a community, this is what I do. I'm everybody's daddy, big brother. I keep a bucket of candy in my office just to show children I love them and I hug them. I'm not looking for nobody else to do no more than I'm going to do. I'm not pointing the finger at the teacher. I'm not pointing the finger at the law enforcement. I take the responsibility. If I see these children come up, something wrong, I take the responsibility. I'm going to try to find something. That's what my program's about. We have got to get back into the concept. Community know what's going on before anybody, before they go to school, before they get locked up, before they get shot, before they sell dope. Somebody in the community, their neighbors know it. They see them every day walking down the street. But we refuse to say anything, and that's where my frustration comes in. We look for everybody to solve our problems but us.
That's true. Well, Ms. Burks, I want to thank you so very much for coming on and sharing your son's life and how things happen with him. Once again, you have our condolences. I think you have a picture of your son that you brought with you, and you want to get it and hold it up. These are these are individuals that were on the right track of doing great things. And, for whatever reason, we must stop the violence among our young people. So thank you so very much for sharing your story. And we'll be back, Mr. Moore, with our next guest that you brought right after this break. Thank you again, Ms. Burks.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Help more Memphis youth during the summer of 2021 by donating to the Memphis Office of Youth Services Joy Program. Donate today. PayPal.me/Joy Program.
Being a Memphis police officer allows me to serve my community and empower children on how to handle peer pressure and make better decisions. I help them choose to lead lives free from violence and substance use. Through community policing, I know I'm making a difference.
I am Cassandra Leak, and I'm the Best in Blue. Apply today, and you too can become the Best in Blue.
We are reimagining policing. To apply, visit joinmpd.com.
Join us virtually every second and fourth Tuesday of each month from 4 p.m. until 5:30 p.m. for Mayor Jim Strickland and the Memphis Office of Youth Services True Blue Tuesdays. Understanding the law, law enforcement, and an individual's rights. Join us on YouTube at the Memphis Police Department Training Academy's YouTube channel.
Public safety is our top priority and a foundation for everything that we do. The Memphis Police Academy is nationally recognized for our academy and its training programs. Our diverse curriculum and instructors prepare our officers to provide exceptional service that builds public trust.
I'm Firearms Instructor Tan Lee. I'm the best in blue. Apply today, and you too can become the best in blue.
We are the best in blue, where we are reimagining policing. To apply, visit joinmpd.com.
Welcome back. You know, Mr. Moore, just listening to Ms. Burch, you know, you feel that, you know, that hurt, you know, within a parent. And, you know, these are things that we really don't want our parents to continue to go through. And it's so needed that we find innovative ways to combat violence among our young people, because it's so very important.
Yes, it is. So,
yeah. And, you know, I know you brought another guest too, who have a similar story. But just talking about it before we go to Ms. Martin, let's just talk about some of the things that she said. Number one, we talk about the school system, implementing some things in the schools. We need to make sure we have a process in making that happen. Is it that our leaders in city government, county government, need to have some type of say-so in making sure that our school leaders can implement programs in place after school for children?
Absolutely. It's going to take our political leaders to have a more stronger say-so in what goes on and have a better door. See, a lot of our parents are not educated, and we have to accept that, but they still love their children.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to have a better way that they can come to. Some parents are ashamed because they don't have education. So our leaders got to, I think the conversation has got to come up more about our leaders. See, you got True Blue, right?
Okay.
But if you don't have no avenue to get it out there, what good is it?
Mm-hmm.
So our leaders got to talk up this situation about what's going on in our community. Mm-hmm. They got to be more vocal. They got to listen to the Sharon Martins of the world that's grieving, been grieving. And what's so important about Miss Martin is that I knew her before she lost her son. And then after I lost mine, we came and stopped the killing. But 23 years, this young lady been asking for answers, trying to get something. And she has never stopped working to get this done. And she's always there on the front line with me. So these is the kind of things where we need our leaders to come in and talk, put more emphasis. I know how politics go, but we need them to put more emphasis on our children dying.
Right.
That's why I go back to, that's why the Unity Walk was started.
Yeah.
Trying to get everybody input, stop being separated, stop blaming, and let's come to the table. I don't have all the answers. You don't have all the answers. Nobody has. But if we continue to come together, come together, we can sit down at the table and we can stop some of this madness going on.
We can.
I just believe that.
We can. And Miss Martin, thank you so much for joining us also. Tell us your story. And before you get started, I want to offer my condolences to you also. But just kind of tell us about your situation, what occurred to you, please, ma'am.
It started in 1997, October 11th. I get a knock at the door. We didn't come to the scene at National and Macon, where my daughter and my son resided. And when I made it to the scene, my daughter was pistol whooped, beat up, and my son was laying on the ground and he was deceased. That was the nightmare that hunted me that night, October 11th.
Were there any indications at all? I mean, did he have run-ins with different individuals? Just kind of think back, I mean, what caused it?
I mean, we don't know what caused it. All I know is, like we said, my theory to me, that the people that crossed the hall with them, they was dealing in drugs. These kids, my children, worked. I think whoever was up, they went to the wrong house, looking for something, and they target my daughter and them, their house. That's the only theory I could come up with. Because my son didn't bother do drugs, my daughter didn't do drugs. They worked like I taught them to do. If you want to have something, you got to work for it. And they know I didn't tolerate things like that no way. Even though if I was a single parent, I still didn't tolerate because I had rules. They followed the rules. So that day, that October 11th, man, that's like to change my whole life.
You know, did your daughter survive?
She survived.
Okay.
Right now, today, she's okay, but not okay. Because that's going to haunt her for the rest of her life. God, they spared her, he'll be her son. She had one son at the time. And so she's going to be, she's okay. And I know it's been, but it hasn't been easy. You know, we have to go through this. Like a couple weeks ago was his birthday month. It's his birthday. Got killed a month before his birthday. No,
What do you think we need? I'm sorry. What do you think we need to have in place, Ms. Martin, to at least start the process of combating problems of this caliber?
I think we need to start in some of the school system, the governments, and city officials to be able to put something in place for our children so they won't get caught up out here. We need to teach them about not getting into gangs or, to educate them. They need educating, before they get caught up in these situations. I think taking prayer and stuff out of schools, taking a lot of programs out of schools, they don't have anything else to do. And our kids are getting caught up in this situation. And our young men need to bring unity to themselves so the other children to have somebody to look up to. They don't have anybody to look up to. Half the young men are in jail. So the children are out here growing. The young mothers are out here raising these children up because they don't have no male in the house because the males are locked up. All either they dead. So there's a young parent there, she got to raise the children. So then, what is left for the child to do? The mother got to go to work, so then she got to leave the children out here.
That's true. I asked Ms. Burtz prior to you coming on, do we as parents talk to our young people enough to get information that we need to have? Number one, the company that they keep, where they're going on Friday, Saturday night. Are we doing enough of that as sitting down with our young people and actually letting them know no problem is big or small that you can't come to mama or daddy about? Are we having those type of conversations?
I think they need to have those type of conversations. We don't know if there are a lot of parents doing that. Some parents may be and some maybe not. But we know that we got to reach our children some kind of way. They need to be, let the parents know who have to be hanging out with different people, young people that are going to get them caught up in situations. Talk to your parents. That's what you should do. And children are supposed to be able to come to their parents to talk to me about anything. But we don't know if a lot of them not doing that because a lot of them want to be their children friends.
I commend Mr. Moore for starting this unity walk. And I mentioned to him earlier that, after we have our walks, what's next? What's the next step in between the walk we had on the 14th of November and the walk we're going to have in February? What needs to take place in between that time frame, in your opinion?
In my opinion, what needs to take place is I'm asking organizations, if you offer something that would help children, give me a call so we can start directing some of these children that came to this walk. Matter of fact, I had about 4 or 5 parents come to me at this walk. One lady, she's a young girl, she's pregnant about a 17-year-old boy, she's 19. She don't have nowhere to stay. I need an organization that can help her get a place to stay. I got one kid, he's being jumped on, he said, every day. So I need an organization to send him to. We need to start getting some organization. If you offer a service that can help these kids. But the problem we got, a lot of these organizations are trying to do some things. They unfunded. They don't have the wherewithal to get the help. But I just believe if we come together and make an umbrella, then we can look for some funding to help all these little organizations that's in their neighborhoods. See, if something happened in Orange Mound, a kid standing, I need to be able to call somebody in the Orange Mound neighborhood. If it's in South Memphis, we need something in South Memphis. And, you know, when they start busting and stuff, all that, I think that's one of the worst problems in my thing. We send our children out of one neighborhood into a foreign land, and then nobody know them. And all this, if you go back down history, all this stuff started changing because nobody knew who stayed. We used to stay in the same neighborhood. Problem was down because everybody knew everybody. So in between now and the next March, I'm praying that some organization will call and say, hey, I offer GED, I offer anger management, I offer mental health. Because mental health is another big problem.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to, in between these marches, the walk is just to keep us charged up.
Right, okay.
But in between the walk, that's when we need to do the help and say, hey, I met 4 kids. This has got this problem, this has got that problem, this bad problem. So now, can you help?
You know, Ms. Martin, I understand too that your child's murder has not been solved as of yet. One of the things that we need to try to get into our young people's mindset is to be able to say something when they see something. I think so many times a lot of information is being withheld from us. But what can we do to get this information that is so very important that we need to help solve some of the ills that our young people are going through?
We got chip lines set up. We got places people who safe haven places that they can come to. But a lot of them don't want to reach out because they're afraid. And we don't know why they're afraid, you know. And well, this is what it's all set up for them to do it, you know, but nobody wants to reach out.
I think that's one of the major hurdles, retaliation.
Right.
So many of our young people are afraid. You know, you have young people who may not be in a gang and they all alone, so they're scared, they're afraid. What can we do? I know you have the tip line, but what can we do to support those individuals that are not in gangs, they stand alone and they know some things, but they're just afraid to give us that information?
One of the biggest things I think is that I've been dealing with Director Rollins, and I want to start the second campaign, better communication between law enforcement. Because in our community, there's a myth that if I tell the police, they're going to tell it. If I call 528 Cash, then they're going to let them know who. And all is a myth because none of it is true. 528 Cash is confidential. Law enforcement, you can call law enforcement. A lot of elder people don't know that. And report a crime, all you have to say, I'm a reporter, but I do not want officers to come to my house. We are not doing a better enough job in getting that information out there. So therefore, we got distrust between law enforcement and community. I want to start a better campaign on, hey, law enforcement, not our enemies, law enforcement are our friends. I was talking to Sheriff Bond. I said, one thing you got to do, Sheriff, you're a sheriff, but you first are a husband, a father, a grandfather, a human being that want to go home after you get off your job, just like I do and you do. So I don't think we're doing enough to set that scenario. So now I don't trust the police. I know something to go on, but man, they're going to tell who said it. But we don't do a better enough job. I hope in this coming up year, we can put together a panel and maybe start with you, sir.
Okay.
Let you sit down with the police and let the police just say, hey, man, I got 3 sons. I got a daughter. And, you know, I got to uphold the law. But I don't dislike you. You just like my son and daughter. We don't have that law. At least I don't see it in this city. I've been doing this a long time. been talking direct. I want to get that dialogue going. That you are not their enemy. You are a parent, a husband, a grandson, an uncle, a nephew to these children. The same one. Do you know a law enforcement officer, kinfolk get locked up too?
That's true.
So what I think we are not doing a good enough job in communicating that law enforcement are not our enemies, and I would hope you do some of it through the youth service, and we calling on you to do it. Let's host some conference or something, have the youth and law enforcement, and let them see that person at their family. Something Judge Ryan used to do with my committee. When when I used to have a Stop the Killing rally, she would bring her daughter. Judge Russell would bring his daughter and show them that, hey, I got a child. This is just my job as judge. This is just my job, law enforcement. So if we can start holding more seminars and stuff like that, combined, I think we can see something.
I think we can too. And Ms. Martin, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Also, I'm sorry for your loss again. But Ms. Moore, you mentioned something that's very important, that we start that dialogue, we start that process. My only thing and concern would be, will our children participate? We can come up with a lot of initiatives, okay? We can put up a lot of ideas that will be essential and at least starting the process of combating. But will we get the process of our young people taking advantage of an opportunity, coming and listening in order for us to create that relationship that we want to have with law enforcement? So these are things that I 100% agree with you. I commend you on what you're doing in our community. I commend you, Ms. Martin,
Can I answer that question for you?
Yeah, commend you to work along with Mr. Moore. But you know, it's going to be a combined effort. There's nothing going to happen overnight, but at least we are starting the process.
The process is this. No, they're not going to come to us. We got to go to them. First of all, if you stay in North Memphis and you have something South Memphis, they ain't coming to South Memphis, they stay in North Memphis. You stay in Hickory Hill, you ain't coming over to Westwood. So when we start these dialogues, we got to take them to community, out the community, and they will come then. But they're not going to come downtown. First of all, they ain't got no transportation. But I believe if we start these things and we take and say, hey, we're going to be here this Saturday, parents, we're going to be here this Saturday, they will come out. But they don't have transportation, wherewithal, or they think it's just another meeting. But when we have these meetings, we got to have some concrete solutions. When the mother comes to my child, I get that call every time. My child, can you talk to him? But I need somewhere to take him to. He won't go to school. He missed out of class. He's 15. I can't talk to him. He this tall, and she that tall. And you got here, Ms. Martin said, everybody saying the same thing, single parent. So how are we gonna blend it back together with a whole family? So me, you, and Esther has got to be that part that's missing. She a single mother, but then I got to be the ex-daddy.
I got you.
And so that's what I think.
And I agree with you 100%. And we need to start that process. You know, we have a lot of meetings. We're the meetingest people I ever seen. We meet. But, you know, I think one of the things, if we put something on the table and start the process of trying to combat and really focusing in on our young people. And that's one of the major things of Mayor Jim Strickland. The youth in this city is a top priority.
Right.
And that's why we are starting True Blue Tuesdays, to educate our young people on understanding the law, law enforcement, and an individual's rights. Before we close, I want to show your pictures of your son, Ms. Moore that you lost, Ms. Martin that you lost. Just let our people, you know, see
17 years.
Our young people losing their lives at such an early age. Yeah. I want to commend you, Mr. Moore, for what you're doing in our community as far as the Unity Walk and all the other things that you're doing. Ms. Martin, thank you so very much for sharing your story about the loss of your son with us also. But most of all, I want to thank our viewing audience for taking out time out of their busy schedule to listen to stories that are affecting our young people and their parents. I'm Ike Griffith. Have a good evening.
Join us every second and fourth Tuesday for True Blue Tuesdays. Educating our youth on the law, law enforcement, and individual rights.